It has emerged that when Raila Odinga returns from the United States of America, things in the country called Kenya are going to move very, very fast. Oh yes. And even as things are moving very fast, I have been able to establish that the plan is Raila will be in very close consultations with his team, his team of advisors, his team of political allies, and also, wait for this one, his legal team. Now, anybody who's keen enough, as soon as they hear legal team, it can have a lot of meanings. Please stay with me and we'll come back to that shortly. Because the real meat of what I want to say today is within that sentence. Consultations with his legal team. What? Now it is widely believed by many keen political observers that the real reason why Raila Odinga is in the United States is not because of some conference, sijui infrastructural manenos. No. It is widely believed that Raila Odinga is in the US because of the stalemate, current stalemate, political, in the country called Kenya. You know, anywhere in the world, a presidential advisor is somebody who sees many months ahead, politically. And imagine for a minute, you are the advisor of President William Samoei Ruto. What do you see ahead in the coming months, politically? You tell me. Well, if I was such an advisor, I would say the following. Mr. President, the coming months are going to be very difficult because the issue of legitimacy will keep on cropping up again and again and again. And it may reach this point where it will be impossible for you to focus on what you need to do as president, let alone your agenda, what you want to achieve during your presidency. I have told you the truth, Mr. President. Now, you know, there are some people, and I've come across very many people like this in recent times, in recent days in fact. There are some people who are very intelligent, and they make the mistake of believing that they are the only intelligent people, that other people are not seeing what they are seeing. Oh yes, that's a human weakness. Because what I've just described, any keen observer of Kenyan politics who understands the country called Kenya will immediately know that this is 100% accurate. This is exactly what is going to happen. Indeed, it is what is happening already. The recent Jamhuri Day celebrations, people were offered incentives to go and celebrate their own Independence Day. Hiyo ulisikia wapi? Ulisikia hiyo wapi? But that is what is happening in Kenya now. And even after those incentives, tell me what happened. Was the place packed? Was it standing room only? Was there a problem of crowd control? Of course not. The issue of legitimacy. Because it is one thing for the IEBC chair to announce you as president, and for the Supreme Court of Kenya to agree with the IEBC chairman. But it is a completely different thing to govern a country where the vast majority of people do not agree with the IEBC chairman, and neither do they agree, although they accept, and neither do they agree with the decision of the Supreme Court of Kenya. That is the truth. So how do you govern in such a situation? You'll have to use, at some point, valuable state resources, taxpayers' money, to offer incentives to people instead of feeding the country, to offer incentives to people to attend your meeting. Oh yes. You'll have to offer politicians incentives to cross the floor so that you have voting power in parliament. But at the end of the day, the people on the ground, the people of Kenya, the people whom our constitution refers to as the supreme authority. And what happens when you elected a leader is that the people of Kenya wamekukopesha hiyo authority. They have lent it to you. For you to return to them at some point when the next elections come up. So the supreme authority in Kenya does not agree with Wafula Chebukati and does not agree with the Supreme Court. How do you govern in such a situation? So coming back to my point, that is the crisis in Kenya today. Even if most Kenyans do not see the crisis yet, that is the crisis. And that is the reason why Raila Odinga is in the United States. Many people believe. Officially, of course, we are being told many different stories. Sijui infrastructure, sijui nini, sijui development in Africa, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but then, politics is politics. Anywhere in the world. You have to create a story to mask the real motive, the real agenda. That's normal. Anywhere in the world. And the biggest evidence that there's more to Raila going to the US than just those blah 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 reasons were being given is the fact that Raila had to cancel the parallel Jamhuri Day celebrations, which were supposed to be held on 12th December. He had to cancel them. And the excuse was he was going to be engaged, probably leaving the country. However, take note of the fact that President William Samoei Ruto, who is also at the same meeting, left the country after the Jamhuri Day celebrations. So what stopped Raila from leaving the country after the parallel Jamhuri Day celebrations? Ask yourself a simple question and give yourself a simple answer. Anyway, back to our main topic. What happens when Raila gets back to Kenya? Well, I can tell you for free, he is going to hit the ground running. Things are going to move very fast. But things are going to move very fast in which direction? What exactly is going to happen? Well, let me answer that question very directly. Bila kizungu mingi. Raila Odinga on his return will hit the ground running. Running in the direction of reclaiming his stolen victory over the presidential elections. Period. And I now want to present two key pieces of evidence to support what I'm saying. Okay? One, you already have my previous video about the real election results. The real presidential election results. If you have not caught that video, please look for it and take it in. It's very short, and direct to the point. It has no analysis, just bare facts. Now, I did not tell you where I got that information from. And I'm afraid I cannot tell you. Not even in my weekly intelligence briefings. Because you see, we journalists have to protect our sources. It is so terribly important. So for now, excuse me on that one. But there's something even more interesting here. My source who provided that information, which I was able to quickly verify, did not tell me the original source of that information. In other words, who are the people who commissioned that mission of digging into the server to find the real results before alterations were made? They did not give me that piece of information. And therefore I am left wondering who it is, although I have a very good calculated guess as to who it is. But let's just leave it at that for now. I'm sorry. Evidence number two is that we have been told, indeed multiple sources are telling us, that when Raila Odinga returns, he will be in close consultations with his legal team. Now, you don't need the legal team for political moves like protests, do you? I don't think so. You don't need them to challenge the government on the promises they made to Kenyans and the way they're governing. You don't need them to take up the role of the opposition to the government. Many countries have an opposition to existing governments. It's a kind of balance and check against government excesses. Because when you're in government, you have immense power. And as we've been told, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So you need somebody looking over your shoulder all the time. That is a must. Kama hutaki mambo yaharibike. So, why will Raila be having close consultations with his legal team? Well, it must have something to do with the events of last August. Let me tell you a story. And especially these people who keep on saying, the train has left the station. The new president has been sworn in. Kwisha maneno. Nothing can be done. Let me tell you a story. There was this man who was convicted by a court of law in the United States for murder. And he started serving jail time. And he served almost 20 years. And then one day, new evidence emerged that conclusively proved that this man did not commit the crime he was convicted for, and the crime for which he had already served almost 2 decades. DNA testing, which was not available at the time this person was convicted, was now widely accepted in the legal system. And a simple DNA test proved conclusively that the crime could never, ever have been committed by this poor man who had already spent 2 decades of his life almost behind bars. paying for something he did not do. And the case went back to court, and the man was released. Let's come closer home to Kenya. There was a man who was convicted of a very serious crime, defiling his own daughter, his own biological daughter. And he served over 10 years behind the bars at Committee Maximum. And then one day, this daughter, who at the time was a small girl, grew up and became a young woman. And her conscience couldn't allow her to rest. And she went and saw her dad. And she apologized and told her dad, "Mom forced me to lie. Mom told me to say what I said before the court. Mom got some assistance from some uncle who was a policeman," etc., etc. And you know how that story ended. The man has been released. New evidence can change everything. Oh yes. Now I know very many people are skeptical. Oh, you know the Supreme Court is in bed with the executive. Oh, you know the judiciary is in bed with the executive. They will never pass anything in favor of the other side. They are always going to favor the government and the executive. These two arms of government are working together, bega kwa bega. There is nothing that will happen, Chris. Forget it. Well, I'll not even respond to that. All I'll do in response is to tell you, Vindu vichenjanga. Until next time, this is Chris. Kumekucha.